Hello guys, my name is Isnat and welcome to this YouTube channel Cruising with Isnat. So guys, today we're going to be talking about a very interesting subject, or rather something that when you're looking forward to working on a cruise line, there's some information that you want to know before you apply. So remember, in my previous video I talked about just the basic requirements for anyone to apply for any post. But on this video, and maybe on the next about 2 or 3 videos, we're going to be going into the specifics. We're going to be talking about job posts. We're going to be talking about those job posts when it comes to minimum requirements. We're going to be talking about the money that comes with those job posts, as well as the qualifications. What should you have for you to apply for a specific job post? So we're going to be talking about some of the job posts that can be available on any cruise line. So as you know, a cruise line can have as many as 1,500, 1,200. Some can have more, 1,200, 1,500 employees. So these are the crew members who will be working and living on board. So all this include managers, supervisors, as well as the other team members. So today we're going to be talking about what should you have for you to be able to apply for some of these posts. So I'm going to be talking about some of the posts that are available, but that really do not need a lot of maybe qualifications, as I can put it. So the first job post that we're going to be talking about is if someone wants to come and work as a galley attendant. Okay, so when you're working on board as a galley attendant, or when you want to apply to work as a galley attendant, what are the minimum requirements? What should you have? What are the qualifications? What are the roles? What are the duties that you'll be doing when you come on board? And what is the salary expectation? So I wrote down some notes for you. I like to give you information that is that is reliable. So the first thing that you should have as a galley attendant should be able to communicate. Remember, in my previous videos, I shared with you that on board you can have many nationalities. So for you to be able to communicate with these people, with your fellow workmates, you must be able to communicate with them in English. So the first thing is you must be able to communicate in English. And then the second thing is you must be physically strong for this post. So these are the minimum requirements for you to be able to apply for this post. You should be physically fit because it requires some lifting. There's some things that should be lifting. They can be quite heavy. In fact, they actually specified that it's going to be maybe up to 60 pounds. So you must be someone who's able to lift objects, to lift whatever it is that needs to be lifted, and these can be up to 60 pounds heavy. And then you must be someone who has got a good attitude. This department, you see that when I share with you the roles, you just have to be someone who's got a positive attitude towards your work. Whatever work you're told to do, you just have to do. And this is a busy department. And you must also be someone who's able to work up to 9 months, because the contracts can be a bit longer than other departments. Because on board the contracts can be from 3 months to 9 months, and I've heard some people who have worked on board for like 11 months. And the conversations that I have with my other colleagues, either because there's a shortage in that area, or maybe they just simply ask for an extension and they've got valid reasons and their extensions are approved, or maybe they're just very good at their job. So there are a lot of reasons that people can give when they want to have an extension. So let's go into the roles. What will you be doing if you want to apply as a galley attendant? So really this job requires you to be cleaning dishes, and it requires you also to be able to operate machinery that will be used in pot washing. So you're cleaning dishes, you're cleaning pans, you're cleaning baking trays, you're cleaning spoons, forks, cooking materials. So you're basically working next to close to where they prepare the food, so that when there is any equipment that is not clean, that is needed, they're taking it to your area, and you operate the machinery, the necessary machinery, and you clean the dishes. So you must also be someone who's able to handle and dispose of chemicals, as well as disposing of food, as well as other duties is assigned. So when it comes to disposing food, remember, when you're on board, I think this applies to most ships, there is waste segregation. So, and this happens from the galley, this happens from the crew canteen, where they eat, where the staff eat. So the garbage really is separated. Plastic is put on in its own labeled bin, paper, food, and there is hard food and there is solid food. So it all depends. Anyway, when it comes to waste segregation, they'll sort of like take you through more like a basic training. It's not something that is hard. So those are the basic roles for a galley attendant. When it comes to the salary, from my research, most of the galley attendants can get from $650 upwards. So the minimum that one can get as a galley attendant is $650. It can be maybe $640, $650, but and remember guys, this salary is for the first contracts. When you as you maybe work for more contracts, maybe you're on your 4th contract, on your 5th contract, it's highly likely that the salaries will change. So the second position that I'm going to be talking about is a bar attendant. And remember guys, you're not a bartender, but a bar attendant. I just wanted to start with the basic jobs that anyone in any country can apply to do. Maybe you've got some qualifications, but maybe there isn't an opening in your specific department, and you're really maybe stranded, you really need some money. You can apply for this job post, because these are some things that anyone who's physically fit, physically strong can do. Someone who's medically fit can do. As a bar attendant, the minimum requirements are that you just have to have worked in a bar or in a nightclub for at least a year in whichever country you're coming from. And then your English also has to be good. Someone also has to be physically strong, as it also requires you to be lifting products that can be up to 60 pounds. So as a bar attendant, you're also responsible for collecting inventory, for collecting stock from the storeroom, as well as to bring it to your department, and also to pack, also to clean as well. So I think I just delved into the roles. So the roles also includes operating machinery. This machinery is the ones that they use to clean the glasses. Remember, in a bar they use glasses, so there is a machine there, the different kinds of machinery that are used to clean the glasses. So you must be able to operate that, as well as to work closely with a bartender, follow instructions. You just have to be someone who's, I think, able to work under pressure, because the bar can be busy, can be really, really busy. Just someone who should be smart, someone who should be able to work under pressure. And the salary for this position can be from $700. And I've seen most people applying for this post because they look forward to being a bartender or a bar server, because a bar server earns way more than a bartender, because these two have got different roles. The bartender works directly with the guests, whereas the bar attendant is more like supporting the bar, the bartender. So the next position that I'm going to be talking about is if you want to apply as a storekeeper. Now, what is a storekeeper? So when you're a storekeeper, you're basically working in the storeroom on board a cruise ship. So when you're working in the storeroom as a storekeeper, I think the first position that you have to apply to work as is an assistant storekeeper. So when you come on board the various ships, most of the positions actually is storekeeper. So you'll be an assistant storekeeper. This job, the minimum requirements for this job are that you should have worked for at least a year in a similar environment. So that this can be a hotel, this can be a warehouse, depending on the cruise line that is hiring you. They can be specific. Some are specific, they want someone who's worked in the tourism industry for at least a year. Some can just simply say they want someone who's worked in a warehouse or in maybe a retail setup, but mostly in a warehouse for at least a year. Some can say maybe up to 6 months. So and then the other minimum requirements for this job, obviously guys, it's your English has got to be good, because you have to be communicating with, I think your English should just be good irrespective of the department that you want to work in. And you also need to be physically fit, as you'll be lifting products. Like this department, you actually be lifting products almost on a daily basis, because especially when it comes to loading, when it comes to practicing FIFO and LIFO, some of these things stay well stated on the various websites for the cruise ships. So they sort of like give you the list of the things that you do, and as well as what is expected of you. And when it comes to a storekeeper, what are the roles? So the roles are basically making sure that the storeroom is clean, making sure that the various departments get their products on time. Like when they ask for some products and you have to deliver, you just make sure that you do that on time. And it also includes getting returns also from the various departments. It also includes stock takes. You also have to be someone who can do a stock take. Also have to be someone who's good when it comes to keeping records. And the minimum salary for this job is, someone can get about $700. That's the minimum, about $700, $800, depending on the ship, as well as depending on the number of contracts. But for the first contract, someone can get up to $700 for this post. Some can get $900 on their first contract. And remember, this is a non-tipping department. So when they say you're getting $700, that's basically what you're getting after 4 months, after 4 weeks. Remember that the pay structure is you get to get paid every fortnight. So every 2 weeks you get half of your salary. Every other 2 weeks you get half of your salary. So that's basically it when it comes to a storekeeper. And then the other post that I'm going to be talking about is a match sort post. A lot of people want to work in this department. It's like I've seen a lot of guys who join the ship, hoping that when you come on board, you work for a month, you can simply switch department. Guys, it's not like that. When you come on board to work as a storekeeper, or when you come on board to work as a bartender, you're not going to be, when you come to work as a bar attendant, you're not going to be a bar server or a bartender, in the next month or maybe after 2 months or so. It doesn't work like that, guys. These things take time. Remember, there are already other people on board who have also submitted their names for promotion or just for changing posts. So it's not really like I just want to go on board, and then when I get there I can go to the department. Maybe you have a degree in something and you're like, I just want to go there, and when I get there I will simply switch departments. It doesn't work like that. These processes can take time. I've heard of some people who have applied for a change of department for like a year. It can take up to that long. because remember the department that you're working in, you're also needed there. And remember the time that you took to do all the processes. It can also be the time that they will take so that they will find a replacement for you when you decide to go to another department. So when you're coming on board, it's just a piece of advice. Make sure you're ready to do the work that you've said you're ready to do. If you're comfortable with earning $600, just cleaning dishes, or maybe depending with the ship, it can be $850, it can be $900. If you're comfortable with that, come on board, work, and maybe explore other opportunities. But remember, it takes time. So I don't want you guys to be frustrated thinking that switching departments is easy. It's not as easy as many make it seem to be. So I'm going to be talking about the last one for today. Remember, I just want to have a short video. So the next one is, if you want to work on board as the youth in the youth camp staff. This department, usually a lot of people whom I've seen who come on board, whether they come as a Galley attendant, everyone wants to work in this department simply because they think the work is easy, and because these guys earn a little bit more, for especially in their first contract, they can earn much more than what some other guys are earning in other departments. So the roles including working with children. These children can be from 2 years to about 12 years, and you're basically supervising these children. You're basically making sure they're safe. And you remember, on board a cruise line, every cruise line, safety is the #1 priority. Fun comes second. You have to be safe. Remember, we're in the middle of an ocean. We're in the middle of nowhere. So the safety of these children comes first, and your safety also comes first. So the first responsibility that you have to these children, that you have in any department, that you have in any position, is safety. So when it comes to supervising these children, this can include diapering. You've got to be ready to change diapers. And I've seen men also in this department. In all the departments, it's not just a same gender department. No, anyone can apply for these posts as long as you meet the minimum requirements. And then the second thing is, you've got to be someone who's very smart. No one wants to leave their child to someone who's looking like, they just walk out of bed and went on a shift. So you've got to be someone who's really, really smart. You've got to be someone who presents themselves well. You've got to be someone who's always happy. You've got to be someone who has a positive attitude. Remember, kids can be annoying at times. Kids can do all sorts of things. I know if you've worked with kids, or if you've got kids, or if you've interacted with kids in one way or the other, kids can do anything. So kids on board are still kids. So you just have to be someone who has a positive attitude. You just have to be someone who's always smiling. You just have to be someone who can control their temper, because kids are kids. And you've got to be someone who abides by the rules of the company. You just have to be someone who's strict in whatever they do. You just have to be someone also who's able to maintain supplies. Remember, these kids need diapers to be changed. Some of them need to be fed. So you just have to be someone who's able to keep up with the supplies in the various departments, from the various requirements. And for the qualifications of this job, you've got to be someone who's at least 21 years of age. Remember, in the other video I shared with you, I said for you to be working on board, you've got to be at least 18 or 21. So for this job, they actually specified the age requirements. You've got to be at least 21 years of age for you to be able to apply to work in the youth camp. And you've got to have a care certificate. You've got to have a care certification. Remember, for those guys who are in Zimbabwe, guys, a care certificate doesn't mean that you have to have that popular one in the country. No, you can have a care certificate online. You can have a care certificate from any other institution. That can take even less time. And you've got to have at least 2 years minimum working and interacting with kids. They do not, most of the cruise lines, they do not specify where you have to be working. They just have where you have to be working. They just say you have to have 2 years of interaction with kids. So you can be a Sunday school teacher. It still suits your profile. Maybe you're a Sunday school teacher, maybe you're a children's ministry teacher for like 2 years. It can actually, you can actually apply. You can be you might have been a coach, maybe a coach at a school, or maybe a coach at a club. It can still fit, you know, in the as long as you've got 2 years minimum. You can be a preschool teacher. You can also be a counselor. You can also be, you know, anyone who interacts with kids. Maybe you can also be a community caregiver, and you specialize in kids. So as long as you've got 2 years minimum requirements, you can still apply to work in the youth camp stuff. Some cruise lines require you to have a childcare diploma. So maybe if you're from Zimbabwe, this can be an ECD diploma. Maybe if you're from other countries, it can be a youth worker diploma. So it all depends on the country that you're working from. You know, the wording can be different, but you know, when it comes to the duties and responsibilities, the certificate just has to fit everything that is required for this job. And you also have to be someone who's well knowledgeable when it comes to special needs. That's why they require you to have a care certification, because some of these kids who come, they've got special needs. They need special attention. So you just have to be someone who's aware, and you also have to be someone who's able to provide whatever needs that these children might have. Even if you do not have a youth certification, you can be someone with a degree, maybe a social science degree. You did psychology, you did a diploma, or maybe a degree in tourism, education, psychology, sociology. You can still apply for this job post. And when it comes to the salary, for someone who's a first contract, you can get as much as 2,500 for this to work in the youth camp. That's why a lot of people like to work in the youth camp. Some cruise lines can pay maybe 1,600, but that can be like the minimum. But most of the cruise lines pay more than 2,000 for this job post. Some can even pay up to 2,500 on your first contract. So you see why a lot of people, when they come on board, they just prefer switching to working in the youth camp. Some even come with a whole lot of certificates. You know, they just want to show you what they have. You know, they just want to convince the HR that they can do this job. But as I said earlier, the switch is not that easy. So thank you guys for staying tuned. Thank you guys for listening to the end. Make sure you like and you subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notifications bell. And just a tip for the ladies: when you come on board, you've got to be ready to do your own hair. You know, like I did my hair, and it feels so good, but it takes a lot of time. And you know, on board, time is precious. Every minute is precious. So just learn some skills there whilst you're doing your paperwork, whilst you're during the process, the onboarding process. Just learn some skills. You might need these skills on board. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ciao, ciao.